up and talk about what these initiatives are and how our partnership is becoming so successful and, quite frankly, a model for the nation. So what I'd like to first say is this: our initiatives throughout Hamilton County are a collective effort in this city and beyond to make sure that all of our police agencies in this region are working together. In specific, you know, the Hamilton County deputies, the city, the Highway Patrol, we are working collectively along with community partnerships to ensure that not only are we balancing law and order, but we're also bringing to the community initiatives that move people forward, that put forth programming for our young people, for our young men and women who are in high school, people who are struggling, homeless people, addicted people. These are people that are important to our community, and we recognize that. And what we want to showcase for you here today is some of the things that we have seen, some of our progress that we have done in these last 15 days that we started collaborating in this partnership on a different level, because we've always collaborated. We've always been together in our goals and what we do in this county. But in this partnership that takes it to another level, in the last 15 days, what Hamilton County deputies have seen, I can speak to some of the numbers regarding arrests and things like that. And I'm also going to, of course, highlight what our community programs are, because we do our homework as law enforcement. We understand that there must be a balance, and that each of those balances must be very equal. And we must move forth initiatives to create law and order and safety for our citizens and also move people forward. So at this time, I will ask Interim Chief Hennie to come up to the podium. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Colonel. Thanks, everyone, for being here today. I really look forward to rolling this out to you. You know, there's two sides of the coin on this. First off, I want you to know that as we're here and we're excited with this new collaboration, please know that we've been doing this probably as long as I've been a law enforcement officer here in Cincinnati. And what I mean is, when we start talking about our state partners, our county partners, we have worked together in many, many different ways. If it's drug units, if it's working major sporting events, if all of these things. So please know that we've already had these partnerships for a very long time. But I want you to know that as the interim chief, I've heard you, and I've heard you ask about continuing these partnerships and improving these collaborations so we can provide the best public safety to the citizens of not only Cincinnati, the county, but also residents of the state. So as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer here in the city, I'm very excited to tell you that we are going to be improving these relationships. We're going to be improving these operations. We're going to be improving these collaborations. And we are going to roll out what I think between the three of us is a very robust and very effective plan that's going to help all of us feel safe in the city. So thank you for these initial, let me have these initial comments, and I'm going to turn it back over to the sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to highlight some of the things that we as the Sheriff Department have brought to this partnership. And, you know, as I mentioned to you, we are creating a model of collaboration that, quite frankly, will be for the state and certainly the nation. You know, as police agencies struggle with recruitment, as we struggle with having the numbers of people that we would like to have, boots on the ground to support these efforts, we're struggling in that arena. And we know it, the public knows it, and by joining forces, we are force multipliers. But at that same time, I'd like to note to you that we create this model, but we also are in it for the long game. As our agencies become more robust, as our recruiting improves, and I do think that recruiting will improve across the spectrum, as our recruiting improves and we have more standalone ability, then that's what we will pivot to. The beauty of this partnership is actually the flexibility of what we have and what we can do. So our deputies have been down in this arena for the past 15 days. In this 15 days, in collaboration with law enforcement, I want to point out to you, very importantly, we have given out almost 200 warnings, okay? Warnings. Those are our deputies and police officers, approaching people and saying, hey, we'd just like to remind you of this. We'd like you to know this. And, we want to give citizens the benefit of the doubt. Certainly we do. But there is also law enforcement to be had. And I will tell you that we have made 7 original misdemeanor arrests. We've made 8 felony arrests. And very importantly, we've recovered 3 stolen vehicles and 6 gun recoveries. 6 gun recoveries. And those are guns that we are legally able to seize because people are carrying them illegally. And we understand what gun violence will do to our city and our county, and we want to prevent that gun violence, and this is one of the strategies that we have to do this. We also have had 8 drug recoveries. One of the things that our deputies have worked on extensively is, approaching these alleys and, areas of the city that can be kind of hidden a little bit from the public, but yet produce drug abuse, people doing drugs in the alley, selling drugs, people who are aggressively panhandling the citizens and quite frankly, stoking fear. We're addressing that, and we've addressed it very successfully. We can show you our results, and our results are very impressive. One of the things I want to also mention, because I said the word balance, we know that there are there are thousands actually, I won't even put a number to it, there are thousands of outstanding warrants in this city and county. And many of those warrants are traffic related. Many of them are minor misdemeanor or misdemeanor warrants. And what we have collectively sat down and talked about with the judges is to create a type of amnesty, day, program, week, where people who have minor misdemeanor warrants that are more than 10 years old, many of these are aged, right? And let's get those things cleared up for people without the consequences of incarceration, without the consequences of fines, and people having to lose money in this arena. What we want to do is create a program where people can bring these forward. They come forward, we clear them, and people walk away with that sense of freedom then, right? That, hey, I don't have to fear approaching a law enforcement officer. And oftentimes when people carry warrants like this around, they tend to want to run from police because they don't know and they don't want to be incarcerated, and I understand that. And as I said, many of these are decades old. So we want to clear that up. We want to create that. I've talked to judges that are on board in that way, and we'll keep you updated as we move forward on that initiative. One of the other things that I want to note here is who's coming into our city, right? Because, we're encountering the deputies that work in this department with me have related to me, and I'll give you an example. So they pulled a gentleman over who was driving very erratically in our city. They pulled him over. When they got his identification and so forth, he's from Indianapolis. He has a loaded AK-47 on the back seat. He is carrying a extended magazine 9mm in the front seat, and we're asking ourselves, and he has a warrant, all right? He's not allowed to have those weapons, and we're asking ourselves, what is he doing down here? Why is he here, right? We handled that, we took care of it, and we're going to continue to do those things. As I said, these gun recoveries, we have to let people know you cannot, if you are not legally allowed to carry a weapon, don't do that, right? We are confiscating these weapons and we're getting them off the street. These efforts, along with Highway Patrol, that will step up, Colonel Jones will step up here shortly and talk about what their initiatives are bringing. But, I also want to talk about what we're doing on the community side, right? The balance, because that is so important. And I will let you know that there are community heroes out there that are everyday boots on the ground. We are supporting those initiatives, as is the city of Cincinnati, with funding, forfeiture funds, but also our presence and our participation. You know, we have a supersedes program that operates within the Sheriff's Department that has a 70% success rate. We have Brothers Inc., who operate Saturday Hoops. It's a group of men who understand what these issues are out in these neighborhoods. They grew up here, and they are out there working with young men and women to steer them in successful directions. We also work with a gun violence group. We've been meeting every other Tuesday, 7 o'clock at night, for years. We are present. The Sheriff's Office sits at the table with all the different community leaders that come to that meeting, and we're getting things done. We're getting things done. I have a community affairs division, and we participate in the festivals, any of the community events that the Cincinnati communities and Hamilton County communities put on, particularly for their youth. So, having said that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to turn this over to Colonel Charles Jones. He is with the Highway Patrol, and the Highway Patrol brings an expertise to this effort of traffic enforcement. All right? I mean, we are hearing from the citizens out there in Hamilton County. You've got people driving 70 miles an hour down a residential street. Those are streets that our children play on. Those are streets that we expect to have a safety initiative for. So, Colonel Jones, I'm going to ask you to step up, please.
Thank you, Sheriff. Well, good morning, and thank you all for being here. At the heart of everything we do is simple yet powerful belief that every resident in Ohio, including those here in Cincinnati and Hamilton County, deserve to feel safe in their homes, in their neighborhoods, and in their communities. Safety isn't just a statistic, it's a promise. A promise that when you walk your child to school, when you drive to work, when you sit on your front porch, you should be able to do so without fear. On behalf of the Ohio State Highway Patrol, know that we care deeply about this community. We see the pain that violent crime causes, families torn apart, futures derailed, and neighborhoods destabilized. That's why we're here today, because compassion without action is just sentiment, and we're committed to turning care into impact. This commitment starts at the top, with Governor DeWine, whose leadership has made reducing violent crime and ensuring the safety of Ohio a cornerstone of his administration. Governor DeWine understands that a high quality of life is impossible without peace and security, and he continues to champion strategies to allow us to work collaboratively across all levels of law enforcement to make the streets safer. A clear example of that commitment is the assistance we have offered during recent violent crime reduction initiatives in the Cincinnati area. These operations bring multiple federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies together in an effort to remove violent criminals from the streets and improve the quality of life for everyone who calls Hamilton County home. Through these initiatives, we have taken actionable steps towards making your city and county safer. Let me share some of the ways these initiatives are not only working, but are also already paying dividends throughout the community. First, data-driven deployment. We're not casting a wide net. These are focused, intelligence-led operations targeting a small number of individuals responsible for the majority of violent crime. We use real-time data to identify high crime areas and repeat offenders, ensuring our efforts are precise and not random. The second actionable step we're taking involves strategic collaboration. This isn't one agency acting alone. We're combining the patrol's aviation resources, local patrols, and federal resources to create a unified front. On November 3rd, for example, our team safely apprehended a 13-year-old driving a stolen vehicle after a dangerous pursuit. That arrest was made possible by coordination between ground units and our aviation team without escalating the risk to the public. And the third actionable step in this collaboration is specialized enforcement. Each operation is tailored to the unique needs of Cincinnati. On October 14th, our team arrested a 15-year-old carrying an illegal firearm, just hours after a police officer was assaulted nearby. That same night, we recovered drugs, made multiple felony arrests, and removed a weapon from the streets. These aren't isolated wins. They're part of a sustained, collaborative effort. So what does that mean for the people of Cincinnati and Hamilton County? It means safer streets, it means fewer victims, and it means stronger communities. These initiatives are about protection. They're about restoring peace to neighborhoods that have been shaken by violence. And they're about showing that when we work together, and I say this a lot, when we work together at the state, the local, county, federal levels, it turns out better. Let me be clear. Crime isn't just a Cincinnati problem, and the partnerships, this partnership isn't unique to Hamilton County. We're deploying similar initiatives across Ohio because we know they work. We're sharing intelligence, personnel, and resources to take criminals off the streets so residents can feel safe and be safe. And we look forward to continuing our work here in the Hamilton County and in Cincinnati, along with our law enforcement partners who are committed, absolutely 100% committed to this community. Thank you. Sheriff?
Thank you. So at this time, we'd like to take questions, if anybody has any questions. Yes.
Define the area where we're talking the statue shared over the last 15 days. What area are we talking? Is that Reading down to the banks or geographically?
Right. So we're talking about the general over the Rhine, which includes our business district down here with the restaurants and so forth. We span all the way down to the river. We typically try to stay, our deputies, in this block area here where most of the activity is in the evening. And of course, we're supported by Cincinnati Police, who give us guidance and help us when we need it.
So Sheriff, you had spouted off a couple of statistics, 7 misdemeanors, 8 felonies, 6 gun recoveries, 3 stolen cars. How different is that than a normal 15-day period? We've got no context on that.
I see. Well, the reason I gave you those numbers is really simply not to give you the big overview and try to compare statistics and put out percentages and so forth, but just to let the public know these are real-time things that our deputies are doing. It is a very simplistic presentation, I'll give you that. But it does allow the public to see and understand in a 15-day period, this is how our deputies are working in this arena. We're not down here to bang people's heads together. We gave out many, many warnings, and I want to compare those warnings to what we did enforcement-wise with arrests. So yeah, this press conference is not designed to crunch numbers. It's not designed to say who has this number and who doesn't. It's designed to let the public know this is the long game, and we're in it. We're in it, and we're going to stay in it. And we're going to stay in it with some productivity.
Sorry, I don't mean to be obtuse here. I'm just
Sure.
confused. So are these numbers greater in the last 15 days than they normally would have been without these collaborations?
You know, it would be very difficult for me to quantify that, as I said. My bringing those numbers to the table, there's plenty of time for us to crunch numbers. We can do that in many different ways. Cincinnati Police, we have our numbers posted, our percentages online and so forth. I simply want to talk to the public and give them a good idea of what we're doing down here. That's all.
Sheriff, the chief mentioned that, you guys have had these partnerships for a while and that, improving these partnerships. What kind of challenges have you run into the past that are maybe changing now or you're improving upon between the sheriff's office and this department?
Well, I'll let the chief step up and talk about that, but our first and foremost challenge is the numbers of police officers that we have in our agencies. Our agency isn't up to complement. Neither are other agencies in this region. We're all, working to recruit quality men and women, and our numbers have to be elevated to where they need to be, to where we know you have efficient law enforcement numbers for those activities. And I'll let the chief express some thoughts on that.
It sounds pretty simple, but it's almost like an aha moment, right? So you think about when I was telling you all of this work that we've been doing together for all of these years for various other things. And you just take that for granted. You know that those partnerships are there. We're always working together. I know the federal government isn't here right now, but I mean, even with collaboration with them, we're always doing these things and we're always working well together. And then all of a sudden a light bulb just comes off and says, hey, you know, we're trying to provide the best, we're in the public service business, right? And what is the best public customer service that we can provide to our citizens? And we're already doing that. You know, us and the county are working over here, and then State Patrol and the county are working over there, and us and and it's like, let's get this joint command, let's get this joint effort together to where we can focus all of these resources that we all have separately, collectively, and make sure that we're all moving in that exact same direction to provide those services to all of you. So when you're talking about like barriers, there's never really any barriers. It was just understanding that we've been operating this way for so long. It's been successful in the specific little areas that we've been working. Let's give this a try and let's see what happens. So that's why we are here today to lay this out to you.
Just on a mechanical level, that's a good question. Do radio transmissions, does State Patrol and Sheriff and Police, if something's happening, how does that work?
So that's what's great about us already been working like this before, because we've worked those bugs out. You know, those are always those little nuances that you're always dealing with over the years. You know, all of a sudden I get new radios and they don't have the radios, or this car, or whatever that may be. But that's the beauty of this is we're not starting from the basic foundation and trying to work our way up. We've already been hitting the ground running with a lot of other things, and now this is just a new direction that we want to hit.
So were you able to talk about the different things you have implemented since you came into this role?
I would be more than happy to talk about that on a separate time, but right now I'd like this press conference just to focus on this joint collaboration, please.
So you said that this collaboration has been occurring for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
The sheriff said that this is just at a different level for the past 15 days. Can you more specifically define what a different level is?
Sure. I believe, just to clarify, when the sheriff was talking about the 15 days, if you remember, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was a 30-day window where they assisted in providing extra patrols on Court Street, correct? So that was not a direct working group specifically with state or city. We just supported those efforts. This last 15 days was the same type of thing. They were out there, they were working, we helped them with whatever they wanted. What we're talking about now today is it's going to be all boots on the ground, all three now doing equal command, equal support with one another to get to that same conclusion. So that 15 days that the sheriff is talking about, what she just, and I'm not going to put two words in her mind, in her mouth though, is, you know, very successful. But think about that. The sheriff was successful, and that's 1/3 of the pie. Now all three of us are going to be together pushing that narrative forward, and I'm very optimistic that we're going to see even more success with that.
And there are budgetary issues involved there, right? I know that August 6th to the September 5th, whatever that task force, there was money from the city that went to the sheriff's department, as best I recall. How do you all work that out? I mean, if you're pulling resources from State Patrol that they might want to be in Akron on Tuesday, but they're not in Cincinnati, that's a law enforcement, that money's involved. How does that work?
So I'm not going to get too much involved in all the finances and all of this, but we're trying to always do more with less and trying to get more and more officers out there. What I can tell you is the collaboration that we're having now is going to involve full-time staff, where we're not having to pay additional overtime. We're not going to have to pay for, and I'm just being honest with you, as your chief here in the city, I would be a fool not to take advantage of anyone that wants to offer me additional resources to help all of us reduce crime in the city. So the more the merrier, and I'm optimistic that we'll work those little nuances out, but that's kind of where our mindset is.
This started 15 days ago. What, I guess, sparked that to start, and why hadn't this started sooner?
meaning this, don't compare this as apples and apples, please. That 15 days the sheriff was talking about is an initiative that the sheriff's department took. That has nothing to do with what this collaboration is now with the three of us. It's just the same as if State Patrol would like to do some traffic enforcement on 75 South, right? We're going to be there, and that's what I think you all need to understand is there's all these levels. Everyone has concurrent jurisdiction. There's all these levels of enforcement. We're just saying, hey, instead of us all working in our little silos here, let's bring this all together. If the State Patrol wants to do traffic enforcement on the highway in the city, come on in and do it. But on top of that, now us and the county are going to work on an equal field to help them with that. Whatever those initiatives are that we're going to come up with collectively, which we're not going to talk about right now, now it's just think of it as a force multiplier to get those goals done.
So that starts now, so that starts now, or did it start 15 days ago?
I need you to be clear, the 15 days was just like if Highway Patrol wanted to do an enforcement effort somewhere else. We're always going to support them. If they get on the radio and say, we need your help, or can you do this? Of course. Then that's what the sheriff did, and it's her, this is the county. If she wants to do enforcement, Godspeed, and I'm going to be there to help you. This, starting what we're talking about today, is us three now coming to the table and saying we are all together and we are moving forward in the same direction.
15 days, earlier this month, Governor DeWine talked about this partnership, and he said that there's been 3 arrests because of this partnership, including a juvenile. Very next day, all 3 of those people were out. What's being done currently to try to keep this revolving door of injustice?
I think that's a whole nother topic that we can talk about. We are continuously working proactively with all the other entities in the criminal justice system to help improve that. But right now, please just talk about this partnership here.
Here we go, last question. Colonel Jones, a couple questions, sir. Chief Hennie mentioned he'll take all the help he can get. Is the city taking all the help that it can get from the State Patrol, or can it take more?
Yeah, no, the city is taking all the help that the patrol offers. We've made it a point to emphasize that, if the help is needed, the Highway Patrol will be there. And, it's no different than the requests that we handle from all over the state, from other agencies across the state. They ask for help, we help. And so we're providing the resources that we can to help the city and the county. And we're going to be here with them, walking side by side, with our troopers out there helping as much as we can, as often as we can. So.
And the resources for Sunday's FC game, is the State Patrol helicopter going to be in the air, or what are you doing there?
Yeah, well, I won't talk about specific procedures, but I can tell you that is normal. We help out with the games, whether it's FC Cincinnati, whether it's the Bengals. We're called upon to help out. And we're going to do that as well. So we will be here alongside our partners.
Let me address one thing, please. I'd like to address the question of the judges and people who are arrested who are released. What we have done in our efforts from the law enforcement community is we have sought to have communication with the judges. Now, the judges cannot talk about individual cases. They're very limited by law, by what they can say and reveal. But I can tell you that the judges operate off of information, right? Because they know they weren't there. They didn't witness the crime. They're asking for information from people who were. And as we get into strengthening these systems, and please understand, law enforcement, the agencies that operate in the criminal justice system are a system. That includes the judges, electronic monitoring, probation, the sheriff's office, all of these things that we've highlighted today. And when we get around the table, in which we do, I talk to the judges, our deputies are embedded in that courthouse. And, what we've discovered is there are times when law enforcement needs to provide more information, quite frankly. Now, can I speak for every judge's, decision on how they'll do things or what they'll do? No, I can't. But I can tell you that as we clean up some of the glitches that we find, because there are those, across the system, then we get to a point where the system is working collectively and efficiently. And I think that's been one of the issues all along, and we're working to clear that issue up.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hold on 1 second for me. I'm gonna have a quick power. Hold on 1 second. Oh, you were there. Good. I'm sorry. My bad. What's up? What's up, man? Good. Good.
I figured it was one of very fast.
Yeah.
Any updates on the videos?
Okay. Huh?
Any update on the videos?
I sent the email.
Over the records?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I'm behind on my
I know,
emails.
I know. I saw
I'm-
you were on Facebook earlier.
it's-